All right, so I'll continue. So what I was saying was that I went to Cuba. It's in the Caribbean, and this is back when I didn't really even care about the historical part and all that of what was going on in Cuba. Although they did kind of we did get that a little bit of education on that. But it was funny because I wake and I've talked about this on my channel in previous videos. I woke up around late at night, early in the morning. I woke up and I almost panicked. I was like, "Holy shit, where the hell am I?" I really felt like I was in pirate times. I mean, and I'm not making that up. I genuinely felt like I was in pirate times. Like, holy, where am I? Like, are there pirates raiding this island right now? And believe me, it is. You really got to be. Anyway, I'm not. That's all I want to say is that it's very real. When you go to the Caribbean, you really do feel like you're in private. You feel like you are in pirate times. Okay, it's not even a joke, really. So that's part of the Latin conquest is of the conquistadors was because there was just so much challenge going on. It was so crazy. It was just a risk that no one was willing to take. Thus Cortez's gold. Even in parts of the Caribbean, the chest is gigantic and they have pure gold coins, which Montezuma had carved out or had his guys carve out. Again, it was a risk that nobody wanted to take. I bet you anything, if in that time you asked anybody in Europe, "Hey, what do you think about crossing 2,000 miles of ocean to a place we've never been to before, to a place where there's people who are very hostile and will likely kill us, where they can number in the millions, and we're gonna go with 50 men?" Nobody would have taken that on. You know what I mean? It was just very risky. Even pirates weren't taking that on. Pirates were all about, let's land at a seaport, invade, rob it, put everything you rob on the boat, and go somewhere else where you can sell the stuff that you stole. That's what the pirate MO was. What else can we get into here? That's what I'm thinking. What else can I really talk? But I talked about that. But again, like I said, this was a very dangerous and crazy mission. People are more scared. Like today, you can take a plane and go somewhere in 10 hours, and people are still afraid to go places. People are afraid to go to Africa, for example, or even today, people are afraid to go to Latin America. People are afraid to go to Asia, to the Orient. To China, to Korea. People are still afraid till today. Just to go on a vacation in a city where there's hotels everywhere and police everywhere and all that stuff. People are afraid to do that. And then, you compare it with what was going on in that time. What else can I say? I mean, a lot of the stuff about that history is just lost. And everybody knows that. The truth is that the story of Hernan Cortez is lost. Nobody knows much about Hernan Cortez. Who he was, what he did. I mean, everybody knows that, these guys were a bit elite. Okay, they came from an elite class. And everybody knows that these conquistadors were very elite men in pretty much every way. And obviously they were risk takers. But what I'm trying to talk about is that a lot of the history is just gone and nobody really knows. To this day, and I told you my opinion. And I'm sure every history buff would like to disagree with me openly, especially. And I'll tell you right now, I believe that Hernan Cortez died in Latin America. I don't believe that he ever came back to Spain. I don't believe, and I've never believed those reports. There was a report, and it's written historically that Hernan Cortez came to the square in Madrid, the city center square, where everybody was, and everybody went quiet, and he was on a horse, and he said, "All of you still disrespect me and treat me like a villain, when I have brought more wealth to Spain than any of your forefathers or all of your forefathers combined." Okay, it may have been a conquistador. I don't think it was Cortez. I think Cortez died there. By the way, again, I'm saying this again. Cortez is the one who came up with the term Latino. Latino is a word used today to represent a race. Cortez came up with that name historically because his wife was indigenous. I don't know if she was Aztec or Maya, but maybe possibly she was. But she was a translator. Okay, he married his translator basically, and he had a kid with her. And when he had his child, and now the other conquistadors were also having, well, I don't know about that, but when he had his child, he declared that the new race be called Latino. He was Latin, by the way. There was no such term as Latino in Spain. Everybody was Latin in Spain, and everybody said that they were Latin. But he coined the term Latino. There's a lot of so I got another. So there's a lot of mixed review. I would say mixed. Again, history is always full of mixed stories and different opinions and whatnot. And with Spain in the old days, they claimed that some of the people in Spain came from Germany. Some of them were even Vikings, they say, and things like that. I don't really believe that, but they say that the original people, they came from different parts of Europe and Spain, and that they mixed and stuff like that. I don't know about that. I think Latin people are very distinct, and until today, Spanish, to me, I mean, they say that there's a family of languages. Now, when I took, it doesn't matter. What I've heard is that sometimes they call it the Romance or the Romantic languages. I don't know what that means. But they say that all these languages are a family, right? And I don't think that's true. To me, with exception, I don't have a big knowledge of the Romanian language. I don't really know how Romanian language actually sounds. I really don't. But what I do know is that Spanish and Italian are very close to Latin. Okay, they are very close to. The source of those two languages was the Latin language. And Latin is actually an ancient language. Again, I just like how people say that Arabic is the language of the Islam and it's the ancient language of the Middle East. I would say that Latin is the ancient language of Europe, which once was pretty much all part of the Roman Empire in ancient times again. So we've established. So yeah, there was something, and I was watching a history documentary once, and they said that we had Visigoths, I think, and we had German tribes come to Spain. I don't know if that's true, really. I don't think that's true at all. Every now and then, if you go to Spain, you'll see somebody with blonde hair and blue eyes, but that's not typically. This is what their hair color is. You can see I don't even have to bullshit or anything. You can see my hair color right here. You see, as the light from that window, as it hits my hair, this color is almost as light as blonde, right? And some people might say that it's lighter. But it's not blonde if you really look at it clearly. This is a trait of a typical Latin person in Spain. There was a movie, what was it called? I forgot what the movie was called. It was a very famous Disney movie. It had two characters who were best friends and thieves from Spain who were traveling to the New World aboard a ship. Where they snuck into a ship and they were going there. And they were two of them were supposed to iconically look like they don't like being called Spaniards even. They like being called Latin. So both of them look like Latin people from Spain, from the Kingdom of Spain. And one of them had hair just like this. I don't know if anybody remembers that. That's called Latin amber. And the other guy had black hair. But this is exactly what Latin people look like. Even people in Romania, I know that Romanians look like this. I just don't know what their language sounds like. But what I do know is that Spanish and Italian are very close to the Latin language. There's a lot of words in Spanish and Italian that are, if not the same, are quite the same. I've heard Italian people actually give a try at speaking Spanish and do good at it. I mean, it's not common because typically, as of today, it's not really like a lot of people from Spain don't go to Italy. A lot of people from Italy don't go to Spain, but I mean, the few that they're able. It's really easy to pick up words. I can hear Italian sometimes and pick up words from Italian, but sometimes they'll have a different ending, a different suffix, not a suffix, but they'll have maybe 3 letters at the end that are different. The root word may be the same. Again, the purpose of this video, and this is now a 2-part video, the purpose of this video is to talk about success again and talk about the Latin race. And I'm kind of a little bit all over the place, but still good. What else can we talk about? Again, the Latin people, the Latino people or Latin people, whatever the case. Well, no, this is actually specific. The Latino people that live in the Americas, in America, in Mexico, south of Mexico, and all of Latin America, that gigantic amount of land with all those people that speak Spanish, and the Latino people that live there. Latino people do sell, and I know that especially in Mexico. In Mexico, they know that the Aztecs were the ones that were ruling it, and they celebrate their culture till today. I mean, it's very common for Latinos to drive, especially in California. It's very common for them to drive vehicles where they put art on it, and all of their art, whether it's on the vehicle, on their street walls, on buildings, the art is typically Aztec art. Now they do speak Spanish, but the Aztecs were very dangerous people, really, and they were very crafty people. You know, they were always at war. They were always fighting. No matter what the size of the tribe was, they were always at war and fighting. These people lived in a very scary land. I mean, they lived in jungles where there were jaguars and all kinds of different animals and snakes and cobras. They lived in a very, very dangerous place, and their lifestyle was very dangerous. They were always at war and fighting. And it's just it's a big mystical thing. I to this day I always wonder, like, what drew the conquistadors to that land. Something must have drawn them to that land, you know, and they just came together, and then you had the Latino race. But my point is that a lot of these local people do have knowledge of Aztec history, or whatever country they live in. They have an idea of their history. Obviously, the funny thing is that conquistadors didn't come to Latin America and say, you must practice everything from Spain. You will do everything the way it is in Spain. You know what I mean? They didn't do that. In Canada, they put Native Indians in residential schools and forced them to learn everything Canadian and British and French and all that. They forced them, even their children, to do that. They forced their children as early as 6 years old, 4 years old, to go to these schools and learn that. The conquistadors never said you have to do this. In Spain, this is how it's done, and you're gonna do this too. They never did that. The only issue they had was because the people of that land would sometimes sacrifice people, and they would sacrifice human beings. Sometimes they say that they used to sacrifice children. In some places, I don't know if that's true, but let's just say they sacrificed people, okay? And the conquistadors were so angered by it. This is a big historical thing. They said that the conquistadors were heavily angered by it. So they gave them an ultimatum, and they said, either you become Catholic or you die. Because your religion and these practices, these heretic, and that was a word that's used in documentaries and in history, they said these heretic practices need to come to an end, and either you're going to become Catholic or you're going to die. They say that a third of all that population turned Catholic and didn't die. Okay. Till today, I mean, I've been to Latin America for quite a long time, and I've seen people in the main cities, and you see indigenous people everywhere, or at least mixed indigenous or whatnot, and you see that everywhere. They didn't kill them all off like the British and the French did, and the Americans did. That's not how they did it. And again, they didn't force them to do things the way the government of Spain did it. No, it was nothing like that. These guys became governors of these new lands, Cortez and everybody, and we're gonna do things the way we want to do it, not the way that and I'm not trying to diss Spain, but not exactly the way the king and the kingdom wants it done. We're gonna become new governors of the place. And why would people like that want to go back to Spain? If they go back there, they're likely gonna get killed. Like, what are you doing back here after you starting your own land? But they took the Spanish language, which they all speak till today. All the official languages of all these countries are Spanish. And everybody is predominantly, everybody is Catholic, dominantly. Everybody is Catholic. There's crosses and churches everywhere. There's historical churches from the 1600s still there today, 1500s. There's historical churches everywhere. So it was all about Catholic religion, and the language that they spoke, and a little bit of their culture, really. Anyways, I've run out of time here. This was a 2-part video. I got quite a little bit of content going in there. Drop me a comment. If you're a history buff, please, I am requesting a history buff to drop me a comment on one of my videos and just let me know what they think about my historical perspective or outtake on this history. Anyways, we're done.